Okay, I think we're going to get started. For those of you who still want to join us here, we'll get started in just a minute here or two, but we're going to begin with the presentation of the colors and our national anthem. Our colors today being presented by American Legion Post 186 of Independence. We ask that those of you who are able, please rise and join us as we honor America with the singing of our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, the presentation of the colors of the United States of America. Thank you very, very much. And thanks for being here this afternoon for this really incredible event. When you think about 50 years for a place like this to survive, just simply survive is incredible. But for it to thrive the way Pietrek Park does is really, really special. We're going to have a short program for you today. My name's Mike Gilbertson, by the way. I work at WTCO Radio here in Whitehall. And it's fun to get out and see people in person a little bit and things like that. I used to get told, you know, you're a lot younger than you sound on the radio. I don't get that anymore, but it is fun to get out here for this. And I appreciate being invited by Trempealeau County. We're going to have a handful of speakers for you here today, and we're going to start with Jeannie Nutter. She is the chair of the Parks Tourism and Economic Development Committee. And so we're going to hear Jeannie talk about why parks are important. Please welcome Jeannie Nutter.
Which one do I talk into? The big one. Yep. Okay. I'm a little shorter than you. This is my speech for today. No, I'm just kidding. I promised I would be short. Parks are important because look, we're all here gathered together to honor the Pietrek family who so graciously bequeathed this park to Trempealeau County and to the citizens. And why this park is important, we need to go back and remember why it all started. Kids, 4-H kids and their families, science camp. And we also must thank Stuart Dodge, who for 40 years, brought sixth graders out here every year. This park is meant for kids, and I'm going to just give, and on the WHTL Facebook page, there were some really great comments about what this park meant to people. graduation parties, families gathering together for family reunions, weddings, biking, hiking, canoeing, kayaking, spending time in the water, picking rocks. Somebody said picking rocks was really important, and I love picking rocks. Enjoying the new trails. We have beautiful new boardwalk trails, and you should all take a short hike out there to check them out. Beach days as a kid. Spent every weekend there as a kid, camping, creating great family members, watching wildlife. My favorite place to go camping. I went to 4-H for overnight, and now my daughter's coming for science camp. The park has been a special place for many generations, and I hope it will continue. So we are so blessed to have this area been gifted to us. It's a very special place, and we need to all thank the Pietrek family. I also want to talk just for a second. We did a logo contest, and on the program is the new logo that was chosen. But we also had this beautiful letter written, a submission, and unfortunately, I mean, it was a beautiful logo that this woman wanted us to consider, but it was not something that we could easily put on a t-shirt or a cup or a mug, but we are going to use it. And she talked about the fact that she was I hope I don't cry because I cried when I read her letter. She talked about being a single mom and lived near this park. And every summer she came down with her kids, and that was their vacation and that was their fun. And they went hiking, they went canoeing, they went fishing, they just went camping, made s'mores. Exactly what this park is meant for. And all of her kids have grown up, and they're very successful. And a big part of them that they've taken with them is their love of outdoors and their love for nature. So we hope in the future we're moving in that direction to bring this park back to what it started as, a place for kids to bring their parents and their grandparents and their friends. And I encourage, if any school people are here, to not just have one school district bring sixth graders camping, but we would love to see all the school districts here bring their kids camping. So thank you so much for coming. And it's just a magical place, and I hope you will all continue to enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. And again, Jeannie is the chair of the Trempealeau County Parks Tourism and Economic Development Committee. The rest of the committee is listed on the front of your program. Lori Severson, Buzz Sorge, Riley Foltz, Bob Becker, Kevin Adams, Bob Pietrek, and Jean Galazinski. And so thank you very, very much to the committee itself for all of the wonderful work they do. And thank you, Jeannie, for being with us today. Next is a cool little video, and to introduce it, it's going to help us remember Joe Pietrek Jr. And here to introduce it, thanks to Kevin Bargender, by the way, from WTCO for helping with this. And here to introduce it is Melissa Kono from UW Extension.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Melissa Kono, and I am the Community Development Educator for both Trempealeau and, like Joe Pietrek Jr., I'm also in Clark County in the Extension office there. And along with Kevin and I, Kevin's the director at WTCO, the TV station here in Trempealeau County, we put together a video, and I had the tremendous honor of being able to research more about who Joe Pietrek Jr. was. I went through boxes from his office in Clark County that had been packed up and put in the basement of the Extension office. I made a display that's over in the other building that has some articles that Joe wrote. He wrote a weekly news article for the Clark County Clark County Press. There's also a business card, and if you flip it over, you can see a handwritten note that Joe wrote to somebody, and that was given back to our Extension office. So we put together a video, and in this, in this research, I was also able to talk to Joe's secretary at the time, and she told me, you know, he really enjoyed children. And so I think that this park is a testament to that. And now our Extension 4-H groups we use this park for camps. So we've been able to come full circle and use this camp just how Joe intended it. So I hope you enjoy our video.
Joe Jr. was my dad's cousin, and he was basically my second cousin. He's a 4-H leader up in Clark County, and he got untimely in an accident and got killed in December of 1971. He was just on the verge of moving to a different county. He was going to go to Pierce County. And Joe graduated in the early 50s. Right after that, he got a notification to go on a senior trip to Korea. He was a veteran of the Korean War. After that, he decided to better himself by going to college. He's a graduate of UW River Falls. With that, he was interested in the youth, and that's what I imagine he got a chance to work for Clark County in the 4-H division. Right after he got killed, my aunt and uncle were up in age. They'd asked Joe Jr. if he was interested in part of the farm, and that because they were on the verge of retiring. And he says, "Nah, Ma," he says, "just sell the farm, do what you need to do, but save me a little 40 acres or something like that. So when I retire, I got a place to maybe build a house next to the river, or I can bring a bunch of kids down here camping or something like that." Well, then he got killed in this car accident, and my aunt and uncle were devastated. That was their only child, and they was gone from them. Well, my aunt and uncle were very good friends with Ray Shanklin, who was the 4-H leader here in Trempealeau County. And they wanted to do something in memory of their son. And basically that's how this come about. They worked with Joe and Emily. They ended up donating 110 acres to the county for the youth of this county. And it developed into a real hidden secret in the county here. And I remember he must have had a lot of influence on the area, because I remember we got notified that he got killed, but I remember seeing on the bottom of the TV on Channel 13 News that Joe Pietrek was killed in a car accident, and it said County 4-H leader for Clark County. He didn't say anything, but he had a professional portrait done of himself, and he'd never even seen that picture. And it was close to Christmas, and I know when my aunt and uncle went to clean his apartment out, there were Christmas presents that were wrapped in his closet at home. But yeah, I can see that he was, the outdoorsy person and a farmer, and underneath that was a businessman that, with a necktie on, and he just liked being associated with young people.
Joe left when I was 15, so I joined 4-H when I was 9. Actually was involved with the fair before that because of my family. But yes, I remember Joe well. Joe was the agent, and I remember the agent before him was John Unkin, because my older brothers were involved at that time. But knew Joe. He was young, he was vivacious. He really had a youthful spirit about him. I remember when he announced his resignation that he was moving to another county, a lot of people were disappointed to see him go, because they really did think a lot of Joe and what he had done for 4-H. And for those of us who were in 4-H at the time, he was the guy that we kind of looked up to. And one of my brothers said it best. He said he was not afraid that if you did something wrong, you were going to be shoveling manure. That was just the standard that at that time you had manure piles and you had to load it on the spreaders. And so there's a lot of 4-H clubs that were on the business end of a fork. But I think it was that young enthusiasm that he had, that he brought to the fair, that he brought to, I think he had an understanding. He enjoyed working with the youth, and that was evident. And I think he had just a great relationship with those of us who were in 4-H at the time. Well, he had just resigned from Clark County. So, we kind of had, for lack of a better term, a death in the family anyway, because he had announced he was leaving, and we were sorry to see him go to leave Clark County, but we knew how good he was and why he would move up to a bigger county. But then when he was killed, I remember, hearing it on the radio the next morning, and it was like, oh my gosh, and you feel bad in that oftentimes few of us experience death that close at hand, but especially someone that all of us knew and really enjoyed, really liked, really looked up to. And so the biggest loss was what the next county lost. They never got to know what Joe Pietrek was. And they missed that. And you kind of, in retrospect, look back and think, how many youth did not have the opportunity to experience what we did in Clark County?
Well, I think I joined 4-H in 1952. At that time, you had to be 10 years old before you could join. And at the time, first was Larry Babka, and a couple of years later, he was replaced by Joel. Had the opportunity to work with Joel for about 6 years that I was involved. Oh, you would have thought he was kind of gruff, but not really. Down deep in his heart, he was very kind, liked to have fun, liked to get things done. I mean, let's not procrastinate, let's keep working and do our best. One year I was able to go to State Fair, and he was the chaperone, and I don't say we were all real good kids down there, but he made us aware of what we had to do. I guess at the time we had a home agent too, but we were so used to having a man for 4-H agent, and he was caring. He'd come out to the farm, and most of us at that time were mostly farm kids that were in 4-H or farm students, I should say, or whatever members. He was interested in our projects. He cared about us very kindly. I mean, it was such a sudden, hard time when we lost him.
Yeah.
He had been such a part of, well, he even went, I think, to the church that I did to in Neilsville at the time. I'm really glad that he was a part of my life.
What else do you want to share?
Well, how this park has come a long ways. I mean, when you see it from the early stages of a windy river come through here, sand field, sandberry all over the place, and all that what started here was just 6 posts and a roof over it. That was it. And I remember right after it was started, the Pietreks had a family reunion out here, and it's amazed for what has happened now with basically the early stages of what volunteer help and that, and like we had talked earlier, I don't maybe have a question, but my buddy's buddy might have an answer to this, and that's how this park was started out with a lot of donated labor and help and just connections.
What do you think he would think of this park?
I think he would absolutely love it. It's probably one of these, Joe would have probably at times maybe had a wall tent set up here and stay here for a week in the summer and stuff like that, because this is home. Where this park is sitting at, just at the intersection of Lewis Valley and Highway 93 was the Pietrek homestead, and they homesteaded this in 1868. So I mean, this is one way of saying it's still part of the Pietrek family.
Thank you very, very much to Melissa and Kevin for putting that wonderful presentation together. That is really terrific. Thank you very, very much. Now joining us to remember Joe Pietrek Jr. are a couple of fellas who have connections to the family. Please welcome Fred Ackley and Mike Blaha.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. My name is Mike Blaha. Aunt Emily was my great aunt. It all started Andrew and Frances Zuza Pietrek and son Valentine, who was born in 1863, immigrated to the United States from Posen, Poland. In 1870, they acquired the property known as the O'Rourke Farm, located 5 miles south of Independence. This property consisted of 200 acres, partially improved. Mr. and Mrs. Valentine Pietrek made many improvements on the farm. They erected a large brick veneer house that I can still remember standing over there. a large barn, and several other buildings. To them were born 10 children: Sophia, Mrs. John Gandira; Mary, Mrs. Emil Stelmack; Anna, Roman married Clara Yerban; Joseph married Emily Matchy; Benjamin married Bernadine Costner; and then there was Paul and Andrew. After Martha. That was okay. I'm very sorry. That wasn't in where I got my information from. I'm very sorry about that. After many years of farming, Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Pietrek retired and moved into a house across the highway just east of the homestead. Andrew died in 1899, and his wife Catherine died about 1917. Their son Valentine married Barbara Sluga, daughter of Frank and Catherine Killian Sluga, who emigrated from Upper Silesia, Prussia, and settled on a farm in Hale. Got mixed up here again. Hale Township, Trempealeau County, Wisconsin, where Barbara was born in 1872. Valentine took over the farm and eventually increased it to 560 acres. Joseph took over the farm in 1927 when his parents Valentine and Barbara retired and moved to Arcadia. Valentine died in 1945 at the age of 84, and Barbara in 1967 at the age of 95. Joe Sr. operated and lived on the farm until he died in 1970. This says 74, but I believe it was 72. Yep. 1972. When Emily took over. That's right, I served for Joe's funeral. That was in 72. Okay, yep. The ownership, okay, Emily took over. The ownership of the farm spanned 3 generations of the Pietrek family and was designated a 100-year farm in 1970. I never really knew Joe Sr. or Joe Jr., but I got to know Emily, my great aunt, very well after Joe died. She was truly a firecracker. Everyone that knew her knew she was around from either her distinctive cackling voice or that unforgettable cackle of a laugh that would light up her room wherever she was. She had a sense of humor and always knew how to get everyone laughing. My wife and I went to see her in the hospital after she had surgery for cancer, which left her with a colonostomy. Expecting to see a frail, sick old lady laying in the bed there. She jumped out of the bed, pulled back her gown, and said, "You want to see my new Zich Judah?" In Polish, Judah means hole. I'll let you fill in the Zich part. And she didn't say it in Polish. Emily loved kids and their laughter, and her and Joe Sr. donated this land to the county for a park dedicated to kids. Was their way of honoring their son Joe, who also loved working with kids. The information I presented on the history of the farm came from the 100 years of Trempealeau County farms. I'd like to thank everyone for coming and helping and honor the Pietrek family and Pietrek Park.
Gosh, I don't know what I can add after that. I'm related to Aunt Emily the same way that Mike was. My grandmother, Rose Bouch, was a sister to Emily and Aggie and the rest of the Matchy side of the family. And let's see, I'm not sure how many, there aren't very many first generation nieces and nephews left. Maxine Cuda is in an assisted living facility in Madison. Dennis Matchy is here, and he's got a sister, Julie, that are still left. Dora Jean Blaha, her husband Jerry would have been a nephew. The rest of us are all either great nieces and nephews or great greats or something like that. So I guess what I'd really like to do is anybody that's here that's related on either the Pietrek or the Matchy side, please stand up and be recognized. So thank you. My mother and Dora Jean were very close to Emily after Joe died, and she moved to Independence, and she had like 300 sets of salt and pepper shakers and things like that were sold at the auction. People remember that. And my sister, Mike mentioned too, the cackle laugh that she had, and she had a very high-pitched voice. I believe she went to Mass at St. Peter and Paul almost every day. And when she could no longer drive, she said, like, who's going to haul all the old ladies to church? So Emily was a firecracker. She was a wonderful person. She was almost like a grandmother to me because my own grandmother died when I was just an infant in 1955. So now you know how old I am. But she was a wonderful lady. This is such a great memorial to Joe Jr. and Emily and all the Pietreks and Matchies. Mike mentioned when this was first built, we used to have our Matchy family reunions here over Labor Day weekend. And it literally was some posts with a roof over it. And the water was terrible. It smelled. It was rusty. And the pit outdoor toilets were worse. So it's a great improvement since then. Somebody said there's been 4,000 sixth graders here over the years that have been here for the sixth grade camp out, and I think it rains almost every time. And so enjoy looking around the park and spend some time here. They've done a huge number of improvements, and so thank you.
Thank you, Fred Ackley, and thanks, Mr. Mike Blaha, as well. Joining us next is a gentleman that I think is really underrated around this place. And I think what makes him so good at this is that he has a real passion for Pietrek Park. So please join us in welcoming Parks Manager Reed Lally.
Thank you, Mike. I first want to thank everybody that was involved in planning this event. I'm very impressed with the turnout. I'm glad everybody was able to come out and honor Joe Pietrek Jr. It's been great hearing about all the stories and everything that's been going on in the past year. I'm going to speak a little bit about where the park is maybe headed. In the last couple years or so, we've done some public input and done some surveys around the county just to see what people would like to see out here at the park. And we developed a conceptual design and a master plan that was approved by the Parks, Tourism, and Economic Development Committee. And I don't know if any of you have seen it. We've had some handouts there. I don't know if some might be on the tables or whatnot. If you don't have that, we definitely have some copies up there so you can take a look at it. This plan is something that's not necessarily set in stone of what the park will turn into, but it gives us an avenue just to kind of move forward and keep on providing opportunities for the youth of the county to have a place to come out and continue to do what Joe wanted to see this property be. So take a look at that for sure. One of the main things about this master plan is that it allows us to become eligible for various funding opportunities, both private and public. So we meet the criteria for applying for some grants and whatnot. So if anybody has any opinions or any advice they'd like to give or call in, feel free to contact me anytime, and hopefully we can obtain some funding and see where the park goes from here, and maybe do some upgrades and add some nice facilities here. So thank you everybody again, and enjoy some music from Bruce Larson, and I'm sure there's still a lot of food up there, so feel free to have some more. So thank you much.
Thank you very much, Reed. We do want to offer a few thank yous to different people and different organizations. Again, I want to make sure we thank American Legion Post 186 from Independence for presenting our colors today. That was very, very appropriate, and I appreciate it. We want to make sure we thank Marvelous Tents for providing this tent and at a very nice cost, I should add. So it was very much appreciated. And if you ever need use of tents, don't be afraid to give them a call. Marvelous Tents, okay? So thank you to those folks for helping as well. And I want to thank Andrea Ripley, too. She's the Trempealeau County Program Coordinator for 4-H, and she's up there with the kids and doing a bunch of stuff. She does a great job. So thank you to Andrea for helping as well today. We really appreciate that. Our final speaker is a member of the Friends of Pietrek Park. Please join us in welcoming Doreen Olson.
I'm vertically challenged as well. Thank you so much for coming here today. I'm Doreen Malashevsky Olson, and I say Malashevsky because I grew up just right down the road. So I have to say, I didn't know Joe Pietrek Jr., but I grew up with fond memories of both Emily and Joe. And so when Joe Pietrek Jr. passed away, they came over and talked to my mother and father about donating the land here. And I remember when they left, my dad, with this gentle shake of the head, said, "How are they ever going to make a park out of that?" So I want to go back a little bit further. I joined 4-H, of course, at 10 years old. You could join 4-H at that time. There was no clover buds. And we used to go camping to whatever farm donated land for a bunch of kids to come for a couple days camping. So we used to go into these woods and be eaten by mosquitoes. Well, then one year, Emily and Joe must have had camping here because we were located over there in 3 large army tents. Yeah, there wasn't separate tents. So we were located there. And then I think the next year was when Joe passed away because I was one of the first counselors here. So from there, we went from the army tents. My sister, who's 6 years younger, in that building back there was dormitories that were made. And then the claw shelter, wasn't named the claw shelter at that time, was made, and that's when my children started camping here. We keep hearing about the 6th graders that were here, but I have to say, thank you, Judy Foss and Ray Shanklin, for 4-H. We had hundreds and hundreds of 4-H members here. So now a little bit more history before I talk about the Friends of Pietrek Park. So I started as a counselor here. My kids came here, you heard that. My husband and I, and where's Mark Marsalik? He was one of the color guards. We had our wedding pictures down there. That was the first time Kingo did outside wedding pictures. He didn't know if he could do it. So we had our wedding pictures here. We have our sister's celebration of life here. We came to weddings here. Our parents' 65th wedding anniversary here. And when our father passed away, my brother Rick asked if we could donate some of the memorial money. From that, 3 months later, our daughter passed away, and we donated that memorial money. And from there, a tree was planted. Her class developed the volleyball courts. The money from both memorials built the boardwalks, and thank you, Elk Rod and Gun Club, for assisting with that, as well as the prairie was made. So with the Friends of Pietrek Park, what we're looking for is citizens to join, to donate money, so we can advocate the development of this beautiful park for the next 50 years. Yeah, 50 years ago, yeah, I was flitting around, having fun. But now I'm looking at what can we do to make sure it's going to be here for the next 50 years. The Shank family has donated 6 acres of land. Reed said they have done various different surveys about how that land could be used. It's going to be over there. And with the Friends of Pietrek Park, those donations will go for the development of that land and to expand this park into even more resources that will not only be here for the youth of tomorrow, but also for us to be able to use it in the future for either celebrations of any type or just to come out here and enjoy nature. You have no idea, if you haven't walked around Pietrek Park, how beautiful the trails are, how beautiful the lower campground is, and how many people actually utilize the campgrounds here. If you would like to sign up today for email updates on the Friends of Pietrek Park, you will be eligible for prizes that include Pietrek Park merchandise. So Reed, that sign up is going to be where? Reed? Where's it? Jeannie? Quit talking to Reed, but where's it? Oh, good. We need good ideas.
So Kevin Adams, one of our county board supervisors.
Okay.
He's got the committee. Well, we can pass them around.
So see Kevin to sign up for emails on Friends of Pietrek Park. It is a 501c nonprofit organization. All the monies will be put in there and not into the county coffers. So it will only be used for park improvements. So thank you for everybody who worked on that. And like I said, our very first project is going to be the development of that land that was donated by the Shank family. So thank you so much. Thanks for sharing with me my history of life here at Pietrek Park.
Thank you very much, Doreen. Just a couple of quick things now as we wrap this up. First of all, I've been asked, anyone who has family ties to the Pietrek or Matchie families or whatever, we're going to have a family picture over here by these trees as soon as we're done. So just gather together afterwards. Fred Ackley's going to organize it. So thanks. He was just voluntold he was going to do that. But get together over here for a family picture. We would definitely appreciate it. The other thing that I'd like to do, one of the other final people I'd like to thank for this is Dave Carlson, who is down here in front. For those of you who have not met Dave yet, he is the new manager of Trempealeau County Economic Development and Tourism. Been with us for a number of months here, but still relatively new. If you haven't met him, come up and introduce yourself to him afterwards, because he's doing a terrific job. So thank you to Dave. We appreciate it. So as I was been out here this week getting ready for today, it occurred to me, I'm a big baseball fan. I love baseball. And as I was out here this week, whenever I start waxing romantic, I think of baseball, okay? So I was out there this week, and this place reminds me of a Field of Dreams, which, by the way, is one of the most romantic movies of all time, okay? Just so you know it. But there are so many similarities to this place and a Field of Dreams. Both were born out of what started as cornfields, I imagine. Okay? There are similarities, I think, between Ray Kisnella and Joe Pietrek Jr. I mean, they were both passionate about life, and they had visions of what they could do to make the world a better place, which is kind of neat. And I wonder if, given a chance, Joe Pietrek Jr. would have had some reservations about this place, like Ray did in the Field of Dreams. I wonder if he'd have wondered if a place like this could succeed, you know, if anybody'd even come out to a place like this. And I could picture Joe Pietrek Jr. sitting here with his own imaginary guardian angel, asking those questions and wondering if a place like this, if anybody'd even come here. And so with all due respect and all apologies to James Earl Jones, I can picture Joe having an imaginary conversation with his own Terrence Mann, just like in the Field of Dreams. And I can hear him telling him, people will come, Joe. People will come. They'll come here for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway not knowing for sure why they're doing it. Part of their pursuit of peace and tranquility. They'll arrive here as innocent as children, longing for the past. And they'll support you, Joe. They'll support you. because in the world today, it's money that people have and peace that they lack. They'll sit here where they sat as children. They'll walk these trails, they'll wade in the river, and it'll be as if they've been dipped in magic waters. People will come, Joe. The one constant through all the years, Joe, has been this land. And the idea that people, young and old, can come here and learn about the world that God has given us. America has been rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But this place has marked the time. This field, this land, it's part of our past, Joe. It reminds us of all that once was good and could be again. Oh, people will come, Joe. People will most definitely come. Thank you for coming out today for this 50th anniversary celebration of Pietrek Park. Thank you so much to everybody. Everybody involved here would like to thank you for being here. We hope you stick around, have something to eat, and please do enjoy Bruce Larson and the Rocky Mountain Band. Again, thank you very, very much for being here. Remember, take time and hug your kids. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Breaks, and then we get all this water. Uh-oh.
Cheese.
Sweet tracks.
Cheese.
My flash will read that.
Tell me how cool are you? Tell me what you know. Did your grandpa teach you everything you know? When you fix that old car, do your knuckles bleed? Can you wipe your hands off and go to sleep? Do you think of me when the leaves turn gold? 'Cause nothing matters more than Mother's Day. I can crack a rusty bolt, I can mend a broken heart, I still love an old dirt road, I can finish what I start. And I believe in God, and I believe in love. I hear it every day in the whispers of my heart. When you look up at the stars, do you feel small? Does the southern rose make you fall apart? When you work too hard, does your love go on? Are you thankful when it's hard to go on? I can crack a rusty bolt, I can mend a broken heart, I still love an old dirt road, I can finish what I start. And I believe in God, and I believe in love. 'cause I've already been there, all because of you. Every day's a little better, all because of you. Oh, thank you. Oh, play me some mountain music like Grandma and Grandpa used to play. Then I'll float on down the river to a Cajun hideaway. Drift away like Tom Sawyer, ride a raft with old Huck Finn. Take a nap like Rip Van Winkle, he's dreaming again. Don't play me some mountain music like Grandma and Grandpa used to play. Climb a long tall hickory, lean it over skinny tank, playing baseball in cherry rocks. Yeah, that song else lasts for band. And play some back home, come on music that comes from the heart. There's something that lots of feeling. Yes, that's where music has to start. Oh, play me some mountain music like Grandma and Grandpa used to play. Down, float on down the river, here a Cajun hideaway. Oh, play me some mountain music. Oh, play me mountain music. Oh, play me mountain music. Oh, play. Oh, here we go. Oh, thank you. And Virgil Lee on the fiddle.